Now, here's a good one about a guy, a husband, who handles things like a boss upon discovering his wife was having an affair. And when I say affair, I'm talking about a super affair here. Titled, Am I the a-hole for publicly humiliating my wife at her workplace after discovering her affair? He says, I don't even know where to begin. With my wife, Leah, 43-year-old female, and I have been married for 10 years. We have two beautiful children, our 5-year-old son and our 2-year-old daughter. I thought we were happy, or at least I thought we were trying to be. But 4 weeks ago, my entire life came crashing down. He says, I'm 46 and started to notice when she was glued to her phone more often than usual. Leah had always been private, but this was different. She'd smile at her screen, then immediately lock it when I walked into the room. One night after she fell asleep, I couldn't resist. I checked her phone. You always hear this. It's always the phone. Glued to the phone, taking the phone into the bathroom when normally she wouldn't do that, locking the phone, all these different things. Smiling, the giggling at the phone. You're like, oh, who are you talking to? Oh, I'm talking to my housekeeper. The housekeeper? No. What I found on her phone still makes me sick to my stomach. There were messages with a coworker, Eric, going back years. Explicit texts, photos, promises of love. Even references to secret trips they'd taken while I was at home with the kids, believing she was working late. Holy crap. Years? And so I'm sure you're thinking what I'm thinking here, that the boy is 5 and the daughter's 2. Oh God. My heart was racing, my hands were trembling. I confronted her the next morning. At first, she denied it, said I was misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? Okay, let's review the texts I took pictures of. The pictures, is that a misunderstanding? The meetups, is that a misunderstanding? Really, honey? But when I read her messages out loud, her face crumbled. She admitted it. Well, of course she wasn't going to tell the truth right away. She said it started 4 years ago, long before our youngest was born. She tried to justify it, saying, you were distant, we were struggling, but nothing could excuse that. Okay, fine. They were struggling, as tends to happen on occasion in a marriage. They ain't no marriages or relationships where everything's smooth sailing the whole time. That is when you communicate with your husband or your wife when things aren't going well, so you can work together as a team, because you are a team, instead of just, well, things are getting difficult, I'm going to go find myself a lover. It says here, I started digging deeper. I followed her to work one day, needing to see for myself. Sure enough, after her shift, she walked out arm in arm with Eric. So after his confrontation, she's still doing this shit? They didn't even try to hide it. They got into his car and drove off. Another word all her coworkers know. I followed them to a restaurant where they sat like a happy couple, laughing, holding hands, and it broke me. Even after we confronted her, they're doing this. But what shattered me completely was when I learned they built their own life together. They had been renting an apartment near work, a place where she'd go when she was working overtime. They were renting a place. Did he get a copy of her credit report or something and saw, he could have gotten her Social Security off the tax returns and looked up her credit score and got a credit report. Holy crap, they're renting a freaking place? I saw them go inside, watching them from my car parking on the streets a few blocks away. I checked on them for about 4 nights, and they had the same routine. Man, she is a piece of freaking garbage. That's when I snapped. I packed up all her belongings, everything she owned, into the back of my car and drove them to her workplace the next morning after spying on them. I know I did wrong. When she walked out, I dumped everything right there on the sidewalk in front of her and her coworkers. I told her she wasn't coming home. Could happen to a nicer girl. I don't have a problem with this, and it's not like the coworkers didn't know what was going on here. Since then, I filed for divorce, and I'm fighting for the full custody of the kids. A lot of people have a problem with this, with him doing that, saying that's going too far. Those are her kids, she should see them. Well, first of all, we don't even know if they're his kids, and he should definitely, I know it'll be scary, do a paternity test. But seriously, she's given up on the family. She got a whole other residence with this guy, and she doesn't care at all. She's begging me to forgive her, saying she doesn't want to lose the family we built, but how can I? Losing the family, she did all this herself for years. No, she just doesn't want to lose the situation she has, where she can have the family and the public, what the public sees, or at least the family sees, and then what everybody else sees, and the fun she has on the side. Friends and family keep asking me if I regret how I handled it, publicly humiliating her, kicking her out without notice. I do. She tore our family apart, and the least she could do is face some accountability. But I can't help but feel like the bad guy for how I acted. No. Tell the family and friends that for 4 years, she publicly humiliated you. For 4 years, the coworkers knew that she was hooking up with this dude, the coworker here, and you're the bad guy just because you dumped her shit in the sidewalk and told her to get the fuck out, don't come home. Yeah, not exactly apples to apples here. This is ridiculous. But of course, the family and friends are going to side with the poor crying woman. And those are no longer your friends or family anymore. I had nights where I felt very lonely and I miss her. Smack! Snap out of it, dude. You're going to make some dumbass decisions if you keep that up. Of course, I'm also attending therapy sessions to be better for the kids and myself. All I care about are them. They don't deserve this chaos. As much as it hurts, I know they are better off with me than someone who could live a lie for so long. Am I the a-hole? No. Your wife's the a-hole. Why do these people always ask if they're the a-hole? I actually get why. Because all around there, everybody's telling them they're the a-hole, so they're like, shit, I need some outside perspective here. No, brother, you're not the a-hole here. Your wife is a giant a-hole. She needs a big scarlet, A on her. But instead of adultery, well, okay, adultery and a-hole. 2 A's across there. Adultery and a-hole. Adulterous a-hole. And that guy deserves an ass whooping. But yeah, get a lawyer. Get a shark of a lawyer. Preferably a female attorney that will show no mercy, Cobra Kai style. And take this bee to the mattresses. It's time to go to the mattresses. Whatever the fucking saying is, I can't remember. Go into the mattresses. And go for full custody. What the hell? And any friends and family give you a hard time about it, tell them to go to hell too. Otherwise, you're coming after them. I'll come after them. So there you go, guys. But never ceases to amaze. But he handled like a boss. Good for him. But you know what? He's in his 40s. He still has a lot left together. I just feel bad for those kids. Because, what their mother did. Now a few comments. One guy says here, your soon-to-be ex had no problem making her affair public, so she has no right to cry about making the divorce the same. I really hate when people claim to want to make a relationship work after they were outed in the affair, but they did nothing to stop it while it was ongoing. The time for possible forgiveness was when she came to you and admitted she had an affair, ended it, and wanted to make things right with you, not the a-hole. Precisely. And one more. Says, not the a-hole. When she became unhappy in your marriage, she could have come to you to fix it, not crawl into the bed with her coworker. Marriage is a partnership, and she stepped out. You have every valid and good reason to leave her because of it. Honestly, you could leave someone because you hate the way they brush their hair, you're unhappy, and leaving is the right choice. No one wants to live in a home where mommy cheated on daddy and daddy hates her. Leaving and building a new life is the best step. Good job. I would have done the exact same thing. Yeah, those kids don't need to grow up in a household where mom and dad hate each other's guts and there's turmoil, because she's not going to stop. And if he takes her back, she'll do it again. I mean, he confronted her about it, and she was still doing it. So that's what I think, and he made the right choice. But again, I think a lot of these people are just so bombarded with people telling them they're the a-hole and they're wrong and all that. They just go to Reddit for outside perspective. They just can't think straight. So no, guys, a situation like that, you handle it just like him. He did it right. Good luck, brother.